So how do you see discipleship and mentoring and small groups all playing together?
Well, uh, to rob a phrase from our previous first lady, it takes a village to raise a child. Um, I think discipleship happens in the context of biblical community. And I know when children have the input of loving adults that are not their parents, in addition to their parents, those children grow up in a much healthier environment. To have aunts and uncles, for instance, who love them dearly
Yeah.
and care for them and gently correct and teach them things. I had an uncle that taught me about photography, and it served me well for many years. I actually made a living doing it.
Mm.
And he was an important man in my life. I'll never forget Uncle David. So I think we've got to have spiritual aunts and uncles in our group who teach us things and mentor us.
Mm.
The whole group has their part, and that keeps us from getting unhealthy attachments to one person in the group, saying you're the only person who can help me with my problem. That would be taking mentoring to a very unhealthy level. But I think just like Paul mentored Timothy, we've got to start that back up in small group life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not going to work on its own. What I wrote about was the best way to start discipleship is not to launch a discipleship process and campaign it in your groups and say, we're all going to get discipled now and, pair up with each other and everything, because this is not going to work,
Yeah.
man. That sounds like clean your room, and it's just not going to clean my room. I don't care. I'll move out before I start cleaning my room, Dad.
Yeah.
What we do is I always say start discipleship with evangelism. Help somebody reach their friend for Christ. I've been praying for them for years. Help them reach a friend for Christ, and they'll naturally want to disciple that person. They prayed for him for years. They've seen huge changes in him. They don't want him to fall away. So they bring him to group and they say, I'll start discipling you, right? If they have the tools, they'll show them how to dig if they have the tools. That's where the church comes in. The church got to provide a step-by-step process, a pathway to spiritual maturity that starts with some sort of a personal assessment to help them understand where they are today and help their mentor understand how they learn. If they're a verbal processor and they learn through discussion, then that you can't hand them a book with daily growth guides in it and expect them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll come back and say, I didn't get to my book this week. When what they really needed was somebody to give them a call and say, that book on page 2 talks about, lordship and really turning over to God things that are way deep in your heart that look down at God, kind of. Hey, thought about that at all? Is there anything like that rolling around in you? Well, no, not right now. I think everything's fine. I'm good. All right. Well, ask the Lord to show anything, and it does talk about it. So that's how discipleship might look for a verbal processor and somebody who's auditory, like myself. The guys who mentor me and discipled me said, hey, this week let's talk about this and pray about this and ask God to reveal stuff to you. And boy, he did. God revealed to me. Told me I loved my sports car more than I loved my wife at one point. And I had to confess that as a sin and start washing her car every Saturday morning before mine. If mine didn't get washed, that was okay.
Yeah.
And boy, that was huge.
Yeah. And
the
one thing
women watching this won't understand, but the men will.
Yeah.
So, but that's just part of discipleship. And so the church has to slide that way. One church creates this little equipping passport. It's really cool. And it has milestones in the passport. And you get your mentor to kind of, I've seen this in this person. I'm so excited for them. And when they get it done, they get this cheesy little prize for it. And they have everybody come up that's completed their spiritual journey or the first leg of their journey. And they give them all a $5 Starbucks card or something.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, for mega churches, this would be a huge expense.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that the small group leader couldn't take up a goodwill offering for that person.
Yeah.
So they present it to them when they graduate, so to speak.
Yeah.
And say the whole group's gone together. We're so excited for you. We just want to give you a $5 Starbucks card. We all took up a big sacrificial donation for that, but there's your prize. And I know all this sounds really cheesy, but people love little rewards.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I, and the more I think about it, the more I find out I'm a golden retriever. So,
Who, by the
so
way, you bring to work every day, right?
yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. If I could get her to come in here, she's very shy. She actually knows when the webcam's working, so she won't come up. But I do bring my dog to work every day. I feel bad for the guy who can't bring his dog to work every day. That's not a very good job.
um, you, you know what I love about small groups is that um, we can we can help people grow in the context of biblical community. And Rick Howerton said it. I heard him say it on, or I saw him say it on Twitter. That discipleship happens in community, not in classrooms. And so, what you're talking about here is not simply transferring information from one person to the other, because I mean, it's not simply as easy as somebody teaching you about how you love your car more than you love your wife, but it's a life on life showing you in the context of community, in the context of relationship, um, the idols that you've set up in your heart, and things that you love more than God.